We're back. It's Ralph and Lahni from Planetary Calendar, and this time we're going to do the forecast for December.
Yes.
2018.
Yes.
So let me put on the glasses.
But this is a big thing
We'll get right
for
to
us.
it. The reason I jumped in that way is because the last couple of months we kind of eased into the month. We had like a few sort of low energy, not exciting days, kind of a clear slate.
Yes.
And December is not like that at all.
No.
December starts out with a bang. The very first thing that happens is Mercury enters Scorpio. Backpedaling from Sagittarius, right?
Yes.
So it's retrograde, and whammo blammo goes from Sagittarius to Scorpio. So hit the ground running, right?
Yep.
Okay, so on the 1st, Mercury backs into Scorpio, continuing the retrograde period that people find so annoying. But it's a great time to go back to opportunities you forgot to follow up on and give them a little love. On the 2nd, Venus leaves her ruling sign and enters Scorpio, putting her in alignment with Mars in Pisces, both in water signs at least. This is a very sexy connection, but watch out that you don't tap into the long-suffering dreamer vibe too much. On the 6th, the new moon in Sagittarius, paired with Jupiter in rulership, coincides with Mercury turning direct, bringing a lift to the spirits. Thanks to the square from the new moon to Mars and Neptune, there may be some subdued anxiety in the air, but that optimism is reinforced on the 7th with a white circle day that says, follow your dreams. On the 12th, Mercury enters Sagittarius, bringing back that quirky sense of humor, along with a pleasant sun sextile moon to help the day flow better. The white circle day on the 16th is great for socializing and cooperation. On the 17th, that sunshine moon in fire signs is pretty energizing. And on the 21st, the sun enters Capricorn for the winter solstice with some nice socializing aspects as well. On the 22nd, the full moon takes place at 0 degrees Capricorn opposite Cancer. This is a powerful lunation that people will feel on a primal level. It aligns the sun with compressive Saturn in Capricorn, reducing the sun's energy, supported by Venus in Scorpio and Mars in Pisces. This is opposed to the moon in Cancer, and that's the sign of her rulership. These are signs of worry about the outer world, so people will be seeking home and emotional safety. Meanwhile, Jupiter is with Mercury in Sagittarius, supported by Vesta in Aquarius, at the ascendant on the west coast. This creates a local sense that genius and entrepreneurship offers hope in difficult times. Some people will be feeling worried, and others optimistic. The sun trine moon on the 26th gives a nice push forward. On the 31st, Mars enters his ruling sign of Aries on a white circle day, creating a sense of enthusiasm, like a seed about to sprout as we greet the new year.
Yes.
All right, sprout.
I think that's very cool that the universe arranged that.
Yeah. Perfect end
Yep.
for the year.
Mars rules the sign of Aries, entering Aries at 1 degree at the end of the year. It doesn't usually coincide that completely, but it did this year. So Mercury backing up, with Mercury retrograde, it's always, it's like running that train, putting the connectors on there, running the train backwards. But Mercury retrograde is a great time for, we might say, inner talk, for the inner conversation people have. People who have Mercury retrograde in their charts tend to have a very complex inner discussion that goes on. They tend to practice what they're going to say a lot before they actually say it. It's not a bad position. It's just introverted.
You mean
Natally.
But I think that Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius is particularly problematic because as much as Mercury doesn't like to be retrograde, Sagittarius doesn't like to be retrograde.
It's very extroverted.
So that's been hard. Now, I think that actually when Mercury backs into Scorpio, Scorpio is introspective.
Yes.
Deep thinking, quiet, reserved, withdrawn. So as Mercury comes into that energy, that part of the retrograde may actually be a little bit easier to take.
I think it's interesting that Mercury enters Scorpio on the retrograde in the same day that Venus enters Scorpio, direct. So they're at the two ends of Scorpio, at the beginning and the end of Scorpio. But so they're not in a conjunction, but they're what's called conjunct by sign in the same sign. Mm-hmm. So you might actually find that it becomes increasingly a good time to have private talks with intimates. Think about Scorpios, they're very good about keeping a secret. And when you have Mercury and Venus in the same sign, it is a good time to have discussion among people close to you.
Well, and Mercury isn't in Scorpio for very long because it turns direct on the 6th.
Exactly. So on the 6th, things really, and it actually changes on the new moon. So you kind of get to a set point at the new moon, and then all of a sudden, kind of everything starts moving forward, which is kind of nice.
And then it's only, another week before it goes back into Sagittarius in forward motion. So that frustration that Mercury felt retrograde in Sagittarius will finally get an outlet after the 12th.
Yes, exactly. And then on the 7th, we say it's a great day to, for optimism, which is interesting. That's coincidentally Pearl Harbor Day, which is a day of remembrance. But it's also a day about remembering that when, the United States was so knocked down, it came back, it got up off the mat and came back to fight. So, but it's the moon's in Sagittarius. You have Mars as conjunct Neptune, so it means you're combining your physical energy with your beliefs.
And parallel there, we got a little
it's a nice parallels
typo
too.
going on there.
Yep.
That's funny.
Then on the 12th, Mercury enters Sagittarius. So here, everything that's been happening so far is all intimate planets. It's the close-in planets. Last month in November, it was really transformational. We had so many big changes of planets changing sign and changing direction. So
and they were both personal planets and outer planets. So we had a whole mélange, as it were, of change.
If you have a lot of changes in the intimate planets, but the outer planets, Neptune, Uranus, Pluto, even Jupiter, Saturn to a certain extent, if they're not changing sign, well, at least the outside world is not too crazy, even if my personal life is a little bit more active than I would like. Vice versa, if the outer planets are changing sign, but the intimate planets are not, you see, they're all crazy out there, but at least my life is good.
Right.
Well, this year it goes back to the intimate planets again. It's Mercury, Venus. At the end of the month, Mars changes sign. So you're going to find that the world as a whole may feel like it's calming down a little bit. We're not going to get this big feeling of, everyone's going to say
turmoil.
It's the end of the year.
Intensity.
Yeah, it's the end of the year. It's the holiday season. It's been a crazy year. November was crazy enough. Let's just coast a little bit.
Right.
Let's get back in touch with the people who really matter to us. And the first part of the month, of course, is all in Sagittarius, which is a pretty optimistic month, in its essential nature.
I like that happy White Circle Day on the 16th.
Yeah, that's nice. With Jupiter is making a good aspect to the moon, is making a trine to the moon, and then you have Mars sextile Pluto, and there's always been a strong traditional relationship between Mars and Pluto, probably because of the fact that it's funny, they're both red planets. We had this past year or so, we've had these great photos of Pluto and
With
showing
that heart.
with that heart, but it's red, but with this heart on it. So it really gives you a different message out of it. And then it has actually more than two moons. It has multiple moons. So suddenly its status has gone up. And Mars is the same way. Mars is a red planet and it has two moons. So there's always been a great affinity between the two. They're both seen as, you might say, extrovert planets. So Mars sextile Pluto, and there you're going from Mars in Pisces, which is the sign of compassion. So it's not considered a strong position, but I'll tell you, it's interesting. You find Mars and Pisces among some famous dancers. Mars has to do with where you put your energy, and Pisces is the feet. And so there's some great dancers, but there's also a lot of healers who have Mars and Pisces because it means they express their physical energy through their compassion. And it's having a nice sextile to Pluto, which is Pluto in Capricorn, which is about practical application. So that Sunday, 15th, 16th, 17th, that whole group of days through there are very nice, especially because on the 17th you have the Sun trine
Moon.
the moon, and this is the sun trine moon after the new moon, so the energy is building nicely. But the sun trine moon is always kind of a nice time.
Stabilizing
Yeah.
aspect.
It'd be a great day to start a new project. First of all, Mercury's now, comfortably direct. The moon is in Aries. People with strong Aries make great salespeople because they're the person who can show up to you and say, "Hi, my name is so-and-so. Can I sell you something?" They're very good at encountering new people. With people with strong Aries, if you don't give them an opportunity to meet new people, they die. They see no reason
Or
for living.
wither on the vine.
Wither on the vine, exactly. They need that social interaction. So you have the sun in Sagittarius, another big extroverted sign, Jupiter, and with Jupiter in rulership, it makes the sun in Sagittarius that much stronger. When you have a planet in a sign where the planet who rules that sign is strongly placed in rulership, it makes that planet stronger. So the sun in Sagittarius becomes that much stronger. And then, yes?
We talked about the sun entering Capricorn on the 21st.
Yes?
I like that it's 222. We like those
222,
22s. We
yes.
always notice
Yes.
the 22s in the...
Yep.
Hey, we're
Yeah.
numerologists.
Exactly. So the sun enters Capricorn at 2:22 p.m. on the 21st. If it had done it on the 22nd, we would have just been...
I know. I thought about that myself.
Exactly. But that's the winter solstice, and it's a very nice day in a lot of ways. You have Mercury conjunct Jupiter. So it's a great day to discuss philosophy, but also a great day to make plans about the future.
Well, and I'm wondering who paid off somebody to get this beautiful white circle day to end the year on. I mean, look
yes.
at that white
Yes.
circle up there on the 31st there.
It's true.
You know?
It is lovely.
That sun sextile moon. We've got Mercury, Saturn, and Neptune, and by extension, all the signs that they rule well aspected to the moon.
Yeah.
And it just looks like a great way to end the year, with Mars changing sign and entering Aries. It just looks like a sort of energetic push to start off
Right.
the new year. And a new year, because in many ways, Aries is the sign of the newborn energy. That first encounter, that opening the door, that opening your eyes, step out into the world, here I am. So to have that be the towing off point for 2019 looks pretty good.
Well, I think that's great too. The moon is in Scorpio, which is not considered a strong position. But, it's the feminine rulership sign of Mars. And suddenly Mars is in rulership. So it also empowers both signs that are connected with Mars. It empowers any planet that's in Aries, but also any planet that's also in Scorpio. And one of the concepts that comes from astrology is that Mars is actually a follower of the moon. It's actually more connected to the moon than it is to the sun or to Saturn, which is, it's kind of the fact that, sons can be very, very devoted to their mothers. It goes to that concept. Well, you end up the year with a great sense of feminine power within this Mars moving into Aries. Once again, and it's something that we've seen this year with Saturn and Capricorn. There's been a great deal about feminine empowerment this year, I think.
Well, and as you said about, Mars and the moon, suns being connected to the mother, I think that it's even more basic than that. And it's, Mars is your physical body, your physical energy, and how you present in the world. And where does that come from? It comes from the mother. You're given birth by the mother. So Mars to be a follower of the moon is just acknowledging that the birth story.
Exactly. So that's what's happening this month. This is the last month of the year. It's a big thing for us because when we do these calendars, we start them a couple of years in advance, and the forecast and everything, and just getting the new calendars out there on the shelves and out to our subscription list. So it's a big thing for us to finish the year up. I mean, astrologers take calendars really seriously.
So we're not giving any hints for 2019. Just enjoy the rest of 2018, and we'll see you next year.